Alright, give me an intro.
That must have been some thirsty water. Okay. I'm here, and I'm queer.
Alright, welcome to Garagetalk. Now,
Wait, you're actually going to use that as an intro?
sure, I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I just don't want you to get demonetized.
alright. Well, I'm not even monetized in the first place, so it doesn't matter. Samuel,
Um,
do you know, where you came from?
Biologically? Hi, Mom.
Wow.
There you
Do,
go.
do you know,
That's
well,
right.
yeah, who'd your mum come from?
Where did my mom come from? She doesn't know. Mom
Okay.
doesn't know where she comes from.
Well, basically, your mum came from your mum's parents, who came from their parents, who came from their parents, and it just goes on and on. And yeah, those are your ancestors until you get like all the way back before modern ways, you know. And we're used to living in houses now, right? This is not a good intro, but there are some people who still haven't adapted, and that's what we're talking about today.
Wearing bullsack masks. Can you search this up? The Doku people.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about uncontacted people, which I find quite fascinating. Because yeah, there are still people out there who live like our ancestors used to back centuries ago. So you've been researching
The Dogan people.
the Dogon people. Can you tell me a bit about them? Where are they from?
They're from West Africa, and they're a lot more contacted than most uncontacted people as in tourists, because they're a lot more friendlier, unlike your uncontacted people.
Yeah.
So they're a tourist attraction, but they've managed to keep their interesting social practices such as circumcision. A whole subsection in Wikipedia is dedicated to this tribe about circumcision.
Don't say the other thing.
And you know what we're talking about?
What else have you found out?
We're talking about. Nah, I'm kidding. The Hugons. The Hugons. We're talking about the Hugon. The Hugon's the political and spiritual leader of the village. And what I find interesting is that usually when we elect a politician, after 6 months, he usually still showers and stays in his house. But this person, the Hugon, doesn't wash or shower or shave for 6 months, and is into some weird kinky stuff as a virgin who has not had a fun time cleans the house and prepares his meals. He has the sacred pearl, which just sounds like a Viagra pill. He has to live alone, and at night, the Libby comes to clean him and transfer wisdom to lead the Dogan people.
Huh.
During religious practices. And these religious practices are based off their ballsack masks, as you can see here.
So they actually, cut off their ball sacks and wear them as masks?
No. As in their masks just look like ballsacks.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because you did say something about circumcision.
Yeah. I don't think they've gone to a point where they're cutting off your balls. They're not that far.
Alright.
We're talking about the mask stuff, right? So the masks, they're mostly used for plays and dramas, and they tell the origin story of how the universe started.
That's pretty cool. they may not have adapted to modern ways, but they can still put on a show.
So they represent the jackal using one of these bull. I think it was like a cow mask, and this jackal was a single male being who made humans in his image, and the fact that it was unbalanced, because you know how it's like yin and yang, and like
Yeah.
You need two things to complement each other. So like females complement males, and like there's good and there's bad. It makes things balanced. So the jackal was just
equality.
He just threw everything into whack, and it isn't, it wasn't right, and that's why marriage is very important in the culture, because it's balanced. It's balanced. So during these festivals with the masks, they pretty much just describe how humans are in a constant state of, like unbalance, and the only way we find balance is by finding pairs, be it friends or family or whatever. And they also celebrate twins because it reminds of the fabulous past where we're all balanced,
That's pretty cool.
Balanced.
Wait, but twins, if twins look alike, then they're not really balanced, are they? Because they're like, aren't you meant to like match two different types of people or things? Isn't that the whole point?
No, because the twins created the world with balance, but it's just that the jackal, the single-sexed male, threw the whole world into chaos by making things unbalanced. So it's just that the twins represent the creation. And yeah, they're quite equal to their woman, like they're not, the stereotypical, they don't treat women right or whatever. I mean, the twins that made the world were female, depending on who you ask. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
So what can you tell us about the history of these people?
So they lived up on cliffs for a while, and they created their villages, which kind of look like sand version of hobbit huts.
So that kind of makes me think of Luke's home in Star Wars.
Yeah, it actually does look like that. Like it genuinely does look like that. It does. Yeah, I think if you go on Wikipedia, you can find some pics. They were pretty much people that just walked around everywhere and didn't really have any villages. But then in the 15th century, they arrived near the river in Niger. So they went to to the river because they wanted to escape the Islamization, because Sharia law, you're gonna get your head chopped off if you don't be a Muslim or whatever. And it was cool because they were so far away from anyone else that until the French came and colonized them, they lived pretty much in isolation. They're quite peaceful. They never really had any bad blood, and they were the last to lose their rights from the French, but eventually they gained it.
So they were colonized by the French?
Pretty much, but well, they weren't even really colonized. It was more like, hey, we kind of own this place, but we're not going to do anything with it, if that makes sense. It's like nothing really changed. It's just they just interacted, and yeah. So now it's just a major tourist attraction in Mali.
This kind of feels like we're making a social studies project.
Yeah, it's pretty fun though.
Yeah, no. Like if we had done something like this in social studies, that would have been cool.
We should have recreated one. We should recreate one of these dances. They're quite interesting, the dances with like the ball sack And it's kind of cool how
Our school
these
dance, getting up on stage with
ball sack
a
masks.
sack mask. Are they like Thanos' chin?
Yeah, but a lot more rounder. They generally look like ball sack masks. That's the only way I can describe them. There's also these masks where they're just long, like they're like 5 meters in height.
Jeez.
It's really cool. It's a cool uncontacted people that's technically contacted, but don't even question me.
Okay. So, you have anything else to add?
I like to talk about marriage and how important it is, because it's
Because you said
it's
they have to
kinda cool
match
how-
to bring balance.
yeah.
That's
It's
an
just
interesting
cool
way
how
to put it.
They reflect things in harmony, and I just love how the woman praise the men, and then the men thank the woman, and then the young express appreciation for the old, and the old recognize the contributions of the young. It's like everyone during marriage kind of stops arguing for once.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just kind of like.
Like, just everyone respects each other, basically.
Yeah. It's wholesome.
Yeah. Huh.
So thank your grandparents. That's what I'm trying to say.
Alright.
Alright.
Okay, my turn. Okay, so I'm doing, I've researched the, is it Sentinelese? Yeah. The Sentinelese people of North Sentinel Island, which is an island, it's part of India, but it's kind of a bit closer to Thailand, I think. Anyway, basically this island's had the Sentinelese are the people who inhabit this island, and they've had an interesting history of basically like 200 years of people failing to make contact with them. So I've noted down a bit of a timeline here. Let's just go through it. So in 1771 was the first recorded sighting of them. So the crew of a vessel was like passing by the island, and they saw some lights on the shore, and they were like, "Oh, that's interesting," but they didn't investigate. Okay, then almost a century later, in 1867, some boat hit the reef and sank, so the crew had to make it to the island. Okay, and they stayed there a few nights. They washed up on the beach. Then on the third day, while they were making breakfast, a bunch of naked people holding arrows and with like painted red faces, they were all pretty skinny as well, ran out of the forest and started attacking them with arrows. I think a bit of the crew died, but they were able, I think it said the survivors were able to hold them off using sticks and stones. So
Whoa, that's a fair fight. So these white people are quite good with these sticks and stones.
yeah, so I think the islanders retreated and the white guys got picked up. Well, they might not have even been white. They might have been Indian. I don't know. I didn't really write about who did what in this. So then in 1880, people knew about these islanders now. So the first attempt to make contact with them happened. Okay. So some guys, I think, they took off from a neighboring island. Okay. They weren't very smart. I mean, they weren't making a very good first impression because they decided they were going to bring a bunch of armed men. Okay, they basically stormed the place. They grabbed, I think, like 6 people, dragged them onto their boat. So when they got back to the other island, like shortly after, maybe two of the people they kidnapped died because, well, they hadn't adapted to modern ways, hadn't adapted to modern diseases, and so they just died. And there were 2 children with them, so they were like, "Oh shit, guys, we got to take the children back," because the children were already sick. So then, they took them back, and they were like, "Wow, that was a fail." And
sorry that your parents are dead, kiddo.
yeah,
that man, indigenous man.
1896. Okay, some escaped prisoner from nearby island. Like ditched prison and then went and showed up on the island, and they found him dead a few days later with a cut throat and several arrow piercings. That kind of just goes to show
Try to run away from the war.
how violent these people are. Then in 1911, this is 1900s now. Okay, some guy showed up at the island and did a census to see how many people were there, and he counted 8 islanders on the beach and another 5 coming out in canoes. So yeah, basically they saw 13 people. That's how many they counted. I think the next contact wasn't until 1967. Some guys decided they were going to go try befriend the islanders. Okay, so they showed up like on the island, but the islanders went and like ran off as they arrived.
Oh.
So these guys like kind of walked into the woods, saw like the huts where they lived and stuff, and they were like, oh, that's pretty interesting. But the islanders had basically ditched. So these guys just, presented their gifts and like walked out. Then in 1970, apparently, some guys showed up at an isolated part of the island and placed a stone tablet on it, declaring it a part of India.
Nice.
Yeah.
So see how that went.
Yeah. So yeah, now it's part of India. Good job.
It's like when people like
they
carve their names onto trees at school.
Yeah. Egg whites. That's our gang, by the way. Yeah, they didn't see any people on that trip. In 1974, a National Geographic film crew went to the island to make a documentary called Man in Search of Man. Okay, they showed up in like a motorboat, I think, and the boat got shot at as they arrived. But yeah, they went onto the island with some gifts, and they had quite a range of gifts. They brought a doll, they brought a live pig, they brought a plastic car, and they brought some aluminium cookware. The islanders, I don't think they took the gifts very well.
We 3 kids.
They started shooting. They just started shooting arrows. One of the arrows hit the director of the documentary in the thigh. He was like, "Oh shit." And then they shot the pig dead and buried it. They also shot the doll and buried it.
Doll. Why did they shoot the doll? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, but they apparently accepted the cookware. They went and took it in. So, I mean, well, now they can make pancakes.
They get some iron tools.
Yeah. So in 1981, another ship hit the reef. So this has happened a few times now, and basically got wrecked. And the people on the ship. Okay, so last time we heard about like the population, they counted like 13 people. Okay, this time they reckon they saw over 50 islanders, 50 sentinelese, in their canoes heading out into the water to attack the people in the shipwreck. But unfortunately the waves were too big and they all just got wrecked. So they couldn't actually bring their canoes to the boat, and the waves were deflecting their arrows. So I think a bit later, a scrap dealer brought some men over. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna dismantle this boat. Maybe get some stuff from it." They went to dismantle the thing, and some islanders came and showed up in their boats, and they were like, "Hmm." And the guys were like, "Oh shit! Well, we don't want to die," so they just grabbed some bananas out of the shipwreck and handed them to them. And the islanders were like, "Oh, cool, bro." Just ate them.
Just like, bye.
Yeah, so that's probably the first successful contact, and it wasn't even intentional.
Islanders are quite odd with their contacts, not gonna lie.
Yeah, they seem to have a lot of mood swings.
Yeah, it's quite aggressive at some points.
Yeah, one moment they're like, "Oh, cool, friends," and they've brought food and cookware, and then other times they're like, "Die."
Shoot arrow.
Yeah. Um,
They're like pillagers.
okay, so starting from 1981, this guy went on a series of expeditions to achieve friendly contact with the islanders. Some of them went well, but some of them didn't go so well. Yeah, sometimes the islanders were actually being like pretty cool and like waving to the guys. Okay, but sometimes they went into this kind of mocking position where they would turn their backs to the people and like go into a position to make it look like they were taking a shit. And I guess yeah, the explorers took this as a sign of offense. Um,
Taking the owl, but native.
yeah. Um, so yeah, some of these encounters ended violently. Sometimes they ran on.
They were wounding them.
Sometimes they ran onto the beach to take gifts, but attacked the guys with arrows while they grabbed them. That's a little bit rude.
Oh man, they're
I
very
mean,
selfish.
it worked well with the cookware, so. In 1991, some Indian people actually were able to make peaceful contact with the islanders.
First one, technically.
Yeah, so this is people have been trying for 200 years now, and now they've finally managed it. They basically showed up on the island and like gave the people coconuts, and they were like, "Oh, cool, bro, coconuts." They came back in the
They really
afternoon.
like food. They really like food.
Oh yeah, and also the islanders that time they didn't have any weapons on them. They just like showed up empty-handed. They were like, "Yo, coconuts." Yeah. So later that afternoon, the Indian people came back in their boat to say hello. There was one islander with a bow. There was a man with a bow, like aiming his arrow at them. But then one of the islander women, like, pushed his arrow down, like, "Nah, fam, you ain't gonna shoot." And
Coconuts.
yeah, and then yeah, and then apparently they passed 5 bags of coconuts to the islanders, like from hand to hand. So this is the closest they've actually gotten to them. And it sounds like it was pretty friendly too. So basically, lesson learned:
Make
take
friends with
coconuts.
You know the girl you're trying to love gets some coconuts.
Yeah. The next month there was another expedition where the islanders were like pretty cool again. I think they found a rifle.
Friend you hate.
They found a rifle that one of the explorers had, and they were gonna try to take it apart because I guess it had iron in it. Okay, so then 2006. So this is over a decade later. It's 15 years later. You might have heard about this. Some fishermen got a bit close to the island. Apparently, a bunch of other fishing people were like giving them warning, like, yeah, nah, you don't want to go over there. But they didn't listen. They got a bit too close, and they both got shot. Oh no, they didn't get shot. Actually, they were killed with axes.
Ooh.
So this is the first time we've heard of axes.
Once they were thrown, or like they just like climbed onto the boats and they're like, "I'm the captain now."
Yeah, eh.
I still wonder how that happened though. Or did they swim? Like like the axe was in their mouth and they were just like swimming towards the fishermen. Were like, "Oh, okay then."
Yeah, so a helicopter crew showed up to try to get the fishermen's bodies, but they were attacked with spears, so they were like, "Yeah, we're out of here." Then then the latest from the island was 2018. There was a missionary who wanted to convert the islanders to Christianity. Okay.
Oh no.
Personally, I don't think this was a really good idea because
RST.
I mean, if you've seen, like, these guys have responded violently to people just showing up there. You know,
You need food at least.
yeah, like
Give
you
them the
can
body
barely,
and blood of Christ.
like, people haven't been able to, like, really even communicate with them, so trying to teach them about Jesus isn't gonna go well. Yeah, so on this guy's first visit, oh yeah, by the way, he was able to get some fishermen to illegally take him there. On his first visit, they tried to attack him, so he was like, "Oh no, I'm out of here." Okay, then he went back, and he tried to sing them Jesus songs, but they just kind of mocked him, and they laughed at him. And then some kid like picked up his bow and arrow, tried to shoot the guy, and like hit his Bible that was covering his chest. So
That was so lucky.
I know he like almost died, but I guess the Bible
Jesus
protected him.
saved him.
Yeah, I mean he probably would have seen this as a sign from God. I mean, if it was a sign from God, it was probably saying,
Should have listened to him.
Get out of here, you're gonna die. But no, he went back on his last visit and he got killed.
I feel kind of bad for him, to be honest.
Yeah.
They should have done the mooning, taking the indigenous owl on it.
So basically, just reading through all this, we've learned about what these people like and what they don't like. So basically, well, they don't like being kidnapped.
Well, I don't think
they don't like prisoners.
They respect the law.
Oh, they don't like National Geographic, apparently. But they do like bananas and coconuts, so basically,
Give them some food.
Yeah, if you want to befriend these people, like, just bring coconuts. So Samuel, if we were to go to India, if we were to go to this island, the best way would probably be to show up in a boat, because I mean helicopters get attacked.
And a suitcase full of coconuts.
Yeah, no, we need several bags of coconuts.
I should wear like coconut bras and stuff. Maybe that'll work as well.
That's not gonna
Or
go well.
seduce one of them.
And basically, you gotta know the signs. Okay, if they start waving, that's good. Keep going. Just give them the coconuts. Leave them some gifts. Maybe they'll teach you how to use a bow and arrow. But if they start pretending to shit, then get out of there.
Run.
Yeah, and that's North Sentinel Island. Basically, there's no hope for befriending these people. Yeah. Hopefully that was educational. Yeah, today we've learned about some native tribes.
We learned about a peaceful one. We learned about a one dominated by coconuts.
Yeah, basically. Do you think they like worship coconut gods or something?
Maybe they just really like coconuts, like Fijians.
What if you showed up there wearing coconut armor?
Coconut armor.
Yeah, imagine that.
It just pacifies them.
But the best thing about this island is some of the reviews on Google. Hang on, let's just go look this up. So I think according to Google Maps, there's a nightclub on it, which I'm not sure about the accuracy of that. I think it might have been Google Maps that said that, but I remember looking at a map and it said there was a nightclub on it. Also, the island is rated 4 stars. It was probably the coconut people who gave that review. If you go on the Q&A section, you got some pretty interesting questions in there. Are there any interesting things to do for kids? Yeah, they have free bow and arrow lessons. Does planes get hit by arrows?
It's like Noob Slayer from in-game.
Will I get tourist guide there? Good restaurants, hotels. Nice. Oh, someone asked, do they kill us if we give them coconuts, I wonder? Well, clearly not. Yeah.
Someone just left 5 stars a day ago for no reason.
Really?
Wow. I'm gonna write a review.
Oh, and apparently last year the population of the island was 39. Oh. Actual population highly uncertain, maybe as high as 400. It's fascinating.
The natives are very welcoming until they start doing their native stance.
Yeah, pretty good. You want to give me an outro?
Afterwards. You want an outro?
Yeah. That'd be good, thanks.
Do an ass dance.